Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/ask Reddit by Planet Reddit. Fathers of Reddit. In honor of Father's Day, what was your don't tell your mother about this moment? One night I was enjoying a small bit of ice cream after my 4-year-old daughter went to bed. She came downstairs and caught me, so I offered her a small bite. But since she was supposed to be in bed, I said don't tell mom. Sheba injured me she wouldn't. My wife wouldn't have cared anyway, but it was a fun little game to play. After she went up to bed and I was down on the couch, she snuck into the master bedroom where mom was resting. She told mom that I had let her have some ice cream, and she was afraid of sugar bugs, so could she please brush her teeth again. My wife just laughed at me the next day. Little shit ratted me out to brush her teeth, something she doesn't like doing anyway. And here I am prying the toothbrush out of my 4-year-old's hands before she wears down all her enamel and trying to get her to stop eating Elmo training toothpaste. That Elmo toothpaste is absolutely delicious, according to my 3-year-old and 18-month-old. Don't lie, we know you eat that stuff by the spoonful. My dad and I, around 5 years old, were on our way home from a car show when we were getting followed by the cops. My dad struggled to put on his seatbelt quickly in hopes he wouldn't get a ticket. Unfortunately, we got pulled over. This might have been the first time ever that I saw a cop this close up, let alone speak to one. I was a deer in headlights the whole time. Well, with the cop on either side of the car, the officer leaned in and asked my dad why he was swerving. That D told the cops I was tickling him. The cops looked at me straight in the eyes and asked if this was true. I was too scared to say anything and just nodded yes. The officers smiled and said, "Never to do that again while your father is driving." Okay. They left without any further words and my dad gave me the lecture of don't tell your mom. Too long, didn't read. Dad and I get pulled over when he tried to get his seatbelt on. Blamed it on me tickling him instead. Hang out with your dad at the car show. Lie to the cops for him. Keep quiet to your mom. Sounds like you tickle all the boxes for being a great son-daughter. Lie to the cops for him. I don't have a him. I laughed so hard when I read that D told. I don't know you, but I somehow pictured your face emphasizing the word D. Face rolling on the floor laughing. Face rolling on the floor laughing. Face rolling on the floor laughing. Not a father but a son. We forgot my passport during vacation and were already at the border station when we noticed. My dad then said that we won't turn back but that he will figure something out. Turns out he smuggled me successfully across 3 border crossings without my passport. Before we arrived at home, he told me not to tell my mom about this. How the hell did he manage that? Stuff you in a suitcase? No. We passed through European borders prior to Schengen. He had a regular ID card and a driver's license, both belonged to him. He showed the border officials his ID card on top of his driver's license and put them in such a way that the border official would see that he is handing them 2 documents that look very similar. One ID card for him, one for me. Only one border official even bothered to look at the ID card plus driver's license, but it seems that he only looked for the expiration date and gave them straight back to my dad. If they caught us, it would have probably ended badly. So a bit of a long story here. Ex-forces. Stationed in Germany. Mate gave me a lift home for Christmas. Dropped me off after the ferry crossing at my sister's house. Around 40 minutes from Dover. Cheers mate. See you in a couple of weeks. Christmas goes by. Get my shit together. Bulls. Can't find my passport. Proper pooping it at this point. Text my mate. Please check your car. Texts back. Nothing there. What I am going to do? Right. They hardly ever check at Dover going out. Mate picked me up, and the plan was if it all went wrong my sister would come and collect me from Dover. But my mate would carry on as he still had to report for duty. Get to Dover. Nervous as hell. Don't get checked. Make it through the first checkpoint. Get round the corner where they issue tickets. No problems. We've fucking done it. I'm pumped at this point. So mate passes me all the stuff they give you, and I go to tuck it next to my seat. In doing so, I see something purple between seat and center tunnel. Interesting. Rummage there. Lo and fucking behold, it's my damn passport. Luckily we got through, but I'd have been bloody furious had it not, and I found out it was in his car the whole time. I asked him if he would have coughed up, and he said, "No, I'd probably have burnt it." Not exactly because we were caught in the act, but here we go. When I was 10 years old, I was in a head-on car crash with my dad and my little brother. My dad ended up with 2 shattered feet and he was in a wheelchair after getting out of hospital. Now my dad did stereotypical dad things around the house before this happened, and being stuck in a wheelchair was difficult for him. One day while my mum was out, it was just the 2 of us in the house. Suddenly I'm being called by my dad to go grab the lawnmower and the trimmer. My dad had decided to cut the grass while in his wheelchair. So 10-year-old me does as she's told and grabs what needs to be grabbed and plus everything in as told. I move what needs to be moved into the garden, but there's one problem. Dad can't get into the garden in his chair. The entrance is just too narrow. So my father, being the reckless and mischievous man that he is, comes up with a plan. He's going to lift himself up using the garden wall. I'm to collapse the chair and move it through and then reopen it so he can sit down. The pressure is on. Little 10-year-old me is ready to go. He gets himself up and we manage it in one try. After that, cutting the grass together was fairly simple, but by this point we'd attracted the attention of the neighbors. My neighbor from across the road was frantic when she saw what we were doing. Husbands from other households were joking my dad was making them look bad. Edit. Spelling. Edit. So this kinda blew up. Thank you for the awards. I'm gonna show my dad all the comments tomorrow. I'm sure he'll appreciate so much talk about his balls. TLDR. My wheelchair-bound father made me an accomplice in his garden mowing escapades. Your father's determination scares me. Balls of steel, I tell YAA. I'm surprised the wheelchair didn't collapse with the weight of his balls. When my son was 6, I was playing Grand Theft Auto late at night. He wakes up and comes to the living room, tells me he can't sleep, and asks can he watch me play. I say he can, but not to tell his mom. He agrees with a big smile. Maybe after about an hour he is playing and I'm watching and helping him. He can't stop laughing, driving into people and running from the cops. I was telling him to watch out for the 5-0 and he asks me what that means. So I tell him it's the cops. He just shrugs and keeps playing. Now fast forward about a week later and we are all driving in the car. All I hear is a scream of "Dad, watch out, it's the 5-0. And I absolutely start crying from laughing so hard, all while his mother is questioning where he learned that. He just says YouTube. She found out later that I'll let him play GTA, but I hope the memory of that is as special to him as it is to me. One of my gaming mates has a kid who pipes up in the background sometimes playing the Switch, and the shit he's picked up from his old man is hilarious. Bowser, get wrecked. It never ceases to amaze me the things he hears and then repeats. This story reminds me, back when GTA was the new hot thing to play, my husband had a game. He worked an early work schedule and would pick the kids up from school. One day I had an appointment in the afternoon, and so I came home from work early to find him playing GTA while my then around 11-year-old daughter was explaining how to do something or other in the game. Walking into my darling daughter saying, "Yeah, you just kill him and run," in an excited voice leaning over his chair eagerly, was a whole new paradigm. Later I figured out he set up a way for them to play together and they'd play until they heard me locking my car out front. Edit. Shh, don't tell I figured it out. They both still think it was a secret. I'll speak for my dad here. He had just gotten a really shitty motorcycle while we were visiting his parents at their farm in a semi-desert area. Note, he's never ridden a motorcycle before and his youngest brother died in a motorcycle accident. I remember coming outside in the late afternoon and I saw my dad absolutely covered in scrapes, cuts, and bruises all over his body, but mostly on his legs that had been bare. I freaked out and Heber injured me. He was fine and explained that he had fallen down a mountain nearby while on this motorcycle. I don't remember if the bike was salvageable, but I do remember him turning to me, putting on a very serious face, and saying, "Absolutely do not tell your grandmother about this." Even at like 50, he was that scared of his mother. Bonus story. I was at the beach with my dad since I was staying with him for the weekend. Divorced parents. We went swimming in the ocean near this rock formation that jutted out of the sea no more than 100 meters of the shoreline. We went in when it was high tide turning into low tide and we got swept out by a riptide that formed around the rock. I got out and started screaming for help and saying that my dad was still stuck in the ocean. No one could see him and I was so scared he had drowned. Then someone said, "Is that him over there?" and pointed about 200 meters down the beach. Sure enough, there was my dad walking towards us in his Luma green swim trunks. I ran to him and we met in the middle and fistly hugged because we had both thought we had lost the other forever. As we were packing up to leave shortly after, I looked at him and asked, "I don't have to tell mama about this, do I?" And he snorted in a "oh dear god no mama" and said, "Please do not tell your mother about this. Considering I've almost drowned 3 times under and broke my collarbone under my father's care, I can understand his desire to keep this under wraps too. You and your dad sound tougher than goddamn steel. I mean fell down a rocking mountain. That gotta be some Captain America type shit there. It doesn't hurt that badly, only if you keep hitting shit on the way down." Source: fell down a mountain at age 12. Twice. I fell off my Everest 3 years ago. Got 2 meters up and slipped and tumbled down to the little start flag with my mates chuckling and laughing thibberhins off back where I fell. When my wife's at work, I will take my daughter, 4-year-old, out for breakfast. Then we will go on a small adventure around a shop of her choice and pretend whatever she wants. Last time we went to a car parts shop and rolled tires around as we were freeing the rollings from Monster. So far my wife doesn't believe her when she later on grasses me up. TBH, it's the only thing pre-COVID I miss doing. This brought back so many good memories of my dad. Thank you. Good man right here. I would like to clarify, if the house would have burned down because of the fire, or the mother. Dad was putting new roof shingles on. I was probably 3 maybe 4. I asked if I could help. He said if I could climb the ladder, sure. I was always climbing so that was no issue. Climbed right on up and started handing him shingles. It would have been a don't tell your mother moment had she not come home from grocery shopping. After several back and forth of "where are you" and "up here mom," she figured it out and flipped out. "What is he doing on the roof?" Edit: I'm not a dad, so I posted on behalf of my dad. My dad always wanted a son. I'm the last of 4 girls, so I was a huge tomboy. Whatever he was fixing I was right there. My mom gave up on these things after a while. Fell off so many things because of this. Jesus. Dad. Daughter speaking for her father. In high school, everybody was always busy at work or clubs, so I was the first one in my household to get home nearly every single day. Dad was having money troubles that he didn't want to disclose to anyone, so he paid me $5 a month to take the bank statement letter from the mailbox and hide it from my stepmom until he got home. It was the closest thing I got to an allowance. P.S. I had no idea what the money trouble was. BTW. I was always the don't ask, don't tell person, so that's why he trusted me the most about this. Clearly all this bribery was causing him money problems. He's bribing everyone in town to pretend he doesn't have money problems. Each time he bribes one person, more people find out, and he has to bribe them too. He's like a one-man pyramid scheme. I call it a Ramesses. Not a real don't tell your mother about this moment, but when I was little, my dad had a workshop in the garage where he'd do woodwork. I'd come out and talk to him while he worked, and he'd let me sit on the car that was parked in the garage. He framed it as something that was so bad and edgy and we couldn't tell my mom, and I was 5, so I believed it and felt so cool without actually doing anything wrong or dangerous. He just sitting there, menacingly. That's really clever parenting. Not a father, but a story about mine. One day I decided to pull a sick day at school and came downstairs and saw that my dad was making a coffee. I asked him what he was doing and why he wasn't at work, and he said I could ask you the same question. We stood in silence for a moment and he said, "I won't tell your mum if you won't." We had a good laugh about it and he let me have the day off. I had this moment with my sister not long ago. We both go to the same school and both had the idea to pull a sick day on the same day. I took the back way home. She took the normal way. Both of us walked in the front back doors at the same time. Walked into the kitchen and, well, this meme sums it up. I pulled a big bro move and signed her note for the next day so parents wouldn't find out. Perks of being 18. Edit. Feel like I should add that I was in 12th grade and she was in 9th. We figured out that she had left 10 minutes earlier than I had, and that somehow resulted in near perfect timing. Like father, like son, haha. Edit. I didn't think this would blow up. Thanks for all the upvotes guys, this is highest I've ever gotten. Join our community Discord, link in description. I took both kids out at around 13 to show them how to drive, just in big empty parking lots or in the neighborhood, but they loved it and I enjoyed a little secret with them for a while. Username checks out. It was my weekend with my 15-year-old son. We had divorced when he was 10. We were at a pool party barbecue at my friend's condo complex and I had brought a couple sodas for him. The dude cooking the chicken overcooked it and was dry, and another friend had pilfered one of the Dr. Peppers, so my son needed something to drink. I suggested he go back to the condo and find something in the fridge. Then he pointed at the plastic pitcher with about a glass left of margarita. I said okay, but don't tell your mom. I figured he would just take a mouthful to wash down the food, but nope. He pounded the whole thing. I was like okay. Well, there wasn't that much in there, so no biggie. I said damn dude, didn't think you were gonna chug the whole thing. He was like what? Is there alcohol in it? I was like yeah dude, it's a margarita. He said but you guys used to make us kids margaritas when you had people over the house. I said yeah, virgin ones with just ice and the mixer in the blender. Not the adult version with tequila in it. Well, next thing you know he's super chatty, actually talking to all my friends like a normal outgoing person instead of his usual teenage introverted small talk. Problem was it was Sunday and I had to take him back to his mom's that evening. I was planning on getting beachhead out about it, or she would find it hilarious. Honestly, it could have gone either way with her. I could never predict how she would take it. He played you like a champ. In my second year of college, my best friend committed. We were all pretty heartbroken. So my mum and dad drove up from the next province to be with me. My dad, being a great cook, decided he would cook my roommate's friends and I a nice dinner to bring everyone together during the bleak moment. My dad and I ended up getting completely shit-faced, as one tends to do during heartbreaking times. He got embarrassed at his drunken state and snuck out the back door and jumped in a cab without saying goodbye. I was upset he disappeared like that, but he also still had the car keys I needed so I could drive my friends and I to the funeral the next day. I called him and asked him to get out of the cab and that I would meet him at whatever street corner he was at, which he did. When I found him, he was sitting in the stoop of an apartment building puking and crying. I rolled up and together we staggered home drunk and crying arm in arm. When we got back to my apartment, he was still embarrassed, so he asked to sleep in the car. I said okay, grabbed him a blanket, Pringles and a Gatorade for midnight munchies. I go back inside and no sooner did I sit down did I get a text from him saying he was cold and wanted to come in. I went and got him from the car and he was covered in Pringle crumbs. Like, covered. I dragged him up the sketchy spiral staircase to my apartment and the last thing he said before he went inside and to bed was God, your stairs are like in Hogwarts, man. Please don't tell your mother. And he passed out. Man cooks a mean bavette steak. Good man. Good man. He's one solid dude, that's for sure. Dad scratched the car after an idiot turned and rammed into us. He told me to just keep it a secret and he slid me a few singles to keep my mouth shut. But she found out anyway, lol. You're getting paid? I understood that reference. Nice try, mom. This last Christmas my 4-year-old helped my wife wrap one of my gifts. It was late so I was working. The next day, while my wife was at work, she came running through from her bedroom first thing and yelled excitedly, Daddy, Daddy, I helped wrap your gift, it's a surprise, it's a slushie maker. Honey, that's awesome, but you aren't supposed to tell me that. I know, but it's a slushie maker. If you know not to tell me, then why did you tell me? Because I'm just so excited to make slushies with you. I was crying with laughter at this point and told her that it's an awesome gift but to keep gifts secret. And I told her we wouldn't tell mummy so she wouldn't be disappointed that I knew what it was. I ended up telling her that evening because it was just too funny and cute. My dad taught me how to play throw rocks, where you toss a handful of rocks in the air directly above you and run away before they hit you. I was playing one with my cousin and got clunked on the head by a big one and bled all over my face and shirt collar. I went crying to dad and he paid me $1 and a piece of gum to keep quiet about the throw rocks game and just tell mom my cousin threw it at me. My relationship with my cousin has been irreversibly damaged since then because I lied on him and he never wanted to talk to me again, so we drifted apart. What flavor was the gum? Original juicy fruit. I wasn't allowed sweets at the time because I had hella cavities. So it was the first sweet thing I had in a while. It was the best 15 seconds of flavor of my life and worth losing my cousin's friendship. That's some pretty good gum though. My dad, brother, and I went out to these dunes near where I live with bottle rockets. We each had an empty milk jug and each took like 20 bottle rockets for ammo. Then, we ran around launching bottle rockets at each other. I was the youngest, which made me the hardest to hit, so I won the rocket war. But yet, mom never found out. Your hitbox needed to be nerfed. My dad used to hoist my siblings and I to the ceiling in a garbage can with a come along and swing us back and forth. Fun as hell, but don't tell your mother. With a come along? What does that mean? A come along is a type of ratcheting winch. My dad cooked us all dinner as a surprise. He was a wizard in the kitchen, and my mom had no idea since everyone shushed. So, she also cooked a 3-course meal in honor of my dad's and my huge appetite. All I can say is that I've never eaten more in my life. The embodiment of gluttony. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.